enhance the health and well-being of people in the Four Corners. Tickets are $30. Find out more at SanJuanMedicalFoundation.com. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is officially baby-friendly. This evidence-based initiative is designed to support mother-baby bonding and optimal infant feeding practices by upholding the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. San Juan Regional Medical Center, officially baby-friendly, and serving the Four Corners since 1910. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. KSJE is supported by the San Juan Medical Foundation, presenting the Taco Throwdown and Bloody Mary contest, Saturday, August 10th at the Aztec Municipal Golf Course. This 21 and over event will include food, music, and fun, as vendors from the Four Corners battle to see who creates the best taco and the best Bloody Mary. The mission of the San Juan Medical Foundation is to enhance the health and well-being of people in the Four Corners. Tickets are $30. Find out more at sanjuanmedicalfoundation.com. KSJE is supported by Sandstone Productions Outdoor Summer Theater, featuring the music of Elvis this summer. The Broadway musical All Shook Up will have you putting on your blue suede shoes and shaking your hips like it's now or never. The show performs every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday through July 27th. Enjoy an evening under the beautiful New Mexico stars. Concessions are available on site. Beer and wine from Wines of the San Juan available Fridays and Saturdays. Find out more about this jolt-worthy event at farmingtonnm.org/OST. Eleven minutes past 8 o'clock. It's Thursday morning, July the 18th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM, the information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners. Also, good morning to our listeners in the Durango area listening at 103.3 FM, and our viewers who are watching our visual radio program today on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. Welcome aboard, everyone. Coming up in just a moment, my guests from San Juan County, and that's why we're showing you a little hazy view of Angel Peak today as we look across the valley from our camera here at the tower at San Juan College. So that's looking quite a ways away at Angel Peak south of Bloomfield. As we tell you outside our studios right now, 66 degrees in Farmington at the moment, on our way to a high again in the 90s. Mostly sunny skies, 94 for a high today. Clear and 59 overnight, 96 tomorrow, 95 on Saturday, 96 on Sunday, and then maybe a chance of storms on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday back in the forecast. So coming up in a moment, my guests from San Juan County are talking budget, and as the budget comes up for final approval, we'll be looking at some of the numbers and some of the trends and how revenues are looking and expenses are looking. My guests coming up in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, next hour, Mick Hess will be here roving with the arts. He'll share some arts news with us, some great classical music, so stay tuned for KSJE. Connect with us on social media, of course. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to our new YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, of course, and check out KSJE on Instagram as well. Well, let me turn to my guests who are here with me this morning. Back for what's becoming a semi-regular visit, I think, here is San Juan County Manager Mike Stark. Good morning. Thanks for coming back.
Good morning, Scott. Always good to be here.
Good to have you with us. Also, Jim Cox is here, the county's Chief Financial and Strategy Officer. And, Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in as well, and to talk numbers and budgets and things like that as we get ready. The new fiscal year has started, and so does that mean you're just using the credit card, Mike Stark, or how's it going?
Not quite.
Okay.
We're working off of our interim budget.
Oh, yeah, you have an interim budget. Okay.
Adopted by our commission back in May, but now it's time to bring forth.
Because if you had a credit card, I would like to know what the limit was on a credit card like that to run the county.
That would be a pretty big limit.
Yeah, I would think so. So how do things look, both of you? Let me ask you, because we know San Juan County, as well as a lot of other entities in the county, are facing economic challenges. And so as you build a budget, what are some of the things that you are looking at, Jim Cox?
Scott, it's actually been a challenging budget season. Primarily, we're looking at our revenue sources, and obviously every fiscal year, our main objective is to make sure that we can continue to provide the services to citizens of the county. And when we're looking at that, so we have these increasing expenditures and then a reduced revenue base. Through FY 19, we noticed quite a significant drop in our gross receipts tax, the sales tax, and so that really added another factor into this year's budget. But overall, we actually were able to really work hard and get a balanced budget. We're able to continue to provide all of the services to the county. There's no reduction there. We're able to meet all the capital needs. So
right. You can't just print more money, more Stark
can't print
bucks,
more money.
as
We
it,
wish
as
we
it
could,
were.
but
Yeah. So that's why you have to have a balanced budget, and then that goes before the county commission, and then it has to go to the state, I suppose, for final approval and a check and things like that, right?
Yeah, so we go through with that approval process. First, it goes through Mike Stark. We look through it, make sure that we are comfortable. Then it'll go to the commission, make sure that they're comfortable with those numbers, and then it goes up to the state, the local government division, the Department of Finance Administration. Overall, they do have to. They have the authority to make it our legally adopted budget. Until that point, we are only operating on our interim, which has already been approved by the state.
I see.
Not Mike's credit card.
Not Mike's credit
Not
card.
Mike's credit
Understood.
card.
Okay. That's all right. And so with this interim budget, how long can that go? I guess, can it just go until the state says you can adopt the final one, or the final one's
question.
good?
Under statute, the state has till September 3rd to approve a budget.
Oh, okay.
We have till the end of July to submit it.
I see.
So it's actually a very time-oriented process.
Right. And I guess ideally they'd prefer to have all this done before the July 1 deadline to have a new spending plan in place.
Yes, sir. So we have the interim budget that is due to them by June 1st, and then so they'll approve it by July 1. Had they not approved it, we actually wouldn't be able to operate.
Then we'd have to whip out the credit card,
yeah,
I guess, or
yeah.
do something, right? Or some creative financing or something. But that's not the case. So that's good. You brought some graphs and charts with you. So for our folks who are watching on YouTube or Facebook, we can share a little bit of that and maybe help to explain it a little bit more of what we're talking about. It's pie charts and line graphs and all kinds of things there that we can maybe take a closer look at. So, but for the revenue, kind of walk us through that if you don't mind, Jim.
Yeah. You know what? Charts are what we love in finance, and
right. You make some good ones. They're very pretty.
Really, when we look at revenues, a lot of I as a citizen would be concerned. Okay, where is my money coming from? I'm getting taxed with property tax. I'm paying sales tax and all of these different items, and
right.
so
and some people I think feel that they fund the entire county government out of their taxes, and they'd be surprised to learn the many different sources that come to actually help to fund county government. Absolutely.
And so our primary source is a gross receipts tax. So that when we look at the FY20 budget, that's approximately 34% of our total estimated revenues of $107 million.
And that's where you said you saw your biggest drop.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah, we actually, if we were to compare collections from the FY18, FY19 collections, we were down about 11% countywide. And so when we look at 11%, that's significant to county operations. We were looking at about a $3.5 million reduction in revenue.
And when there's talk at the state level of taxing internet sales and maybe sharing some of that with the municipalities, is that something that gets your attention?
Absolutely. It actually is something
because that would help, would it not?
We were happy to see that went into place. These next 2 years are very much set by statute in terms of how much we'll get. So I'm really looking forward to actually seeing how much revenues derived off of those internet sales.
It should go up. It shouldn't keep falling. Isn't that the projection?
Yes, correct.
And long time overdue for some folks to say. So anyway, but I interrupted you, but I wanted to raise that point. So we have GRT, absolutely, which is your biggest chunk. Mm-hmm. And then?
Next is our property taxes. So that's factored about 26% of our entire budget. Really an important factor that I wanted to mention is that with our property tax base, we are actually the second lowest of all of the counties within the state. And so what that tells all of the citizens is hey, while it's our 26% of our tax base, we're still able to operate and maintain it at a low level, which is really good. So when you have people that are very concerned, hey, my property taxes are real significant, it does go to help fund all of the local governments. And so it, as you can see here, it helps us
Right.
mainly in our general fund operations.
Sure, and there are other entities that benefit too. The schools, of course, San Juan College, and would be remiss if I didn't mention that, from property taxes, and so that's where that's all going.
Yep.
But a big chunk goes to the county, is what you're saying here. Or
As a
not.
percentage, Scott, I might add that it's 29% roughly of your total property tax bill that goes to San Juan County. And that actually is on every tax bill
Okay.
that's generated in San Juan County. So it actually shows you as a percentage as well as the actual dollars of your total tax bill that are going to, first and foremost, the largest recipient of tax dollars in San Juan County are the school districts, depending upon what school district boundary you reside in.
Right, okay.
And then San Juan College, I believe, is roughly 20%, the county at 29%, and then the state of New Mexico has a small percentage.
Got
and
it.
so it is a misnomer, since the tax bill is generated by San Juan County. The assumption is San Juan County is the direct recipient of all those
All of it,
dollars.
right.
But the
Not-
treasurer receives those dollars, and then they're dispersed to the various entities that have property tax authority.
Got you. A good point. So thank you for making that point, Mike Stark. And so we have property taxes, and then what's the other one? Intergovernmental chunk?
Yeah, that is actually, when we look at the graph, our actuals, we only generate about 12 million. We're budgeting 22 million, so we see a significant increase. Intergovernmental is really our state and federal grant funds. It funds we have state fire funds, we have federal grants, we have state capital appropriations that go into that. Through this past legislative session, there's a significant amount going to San Juan Regional for renovation of their facilities.
I see, right.
We have additional funding for other entities
Got it.
that were passed through.
Okay. And then we can see the other smaller pieces there too, with other taxes and some licenses and fees, and the good old miscellaneous is up there at 1%. So, right. And so the biggest drop you said was GRT. Are all these other ones kind of holding steady, or are they down as well? I would assume property taxes are holding fairly steady, or...
Yeah, property taxes are holding steady. We are fairly confident in that we're not going to see a significant decline. We do have some properties under protest that do end up reducing our overall budgetary base. However, it's hard from in a budget level when you have those, because it's an unknown. Okay, can you generate revenue? But overall, we were very confident in those numbers.
As I look closer, I see that you've got it out here in the numbers, that it's down by about $500,000 property tax on the chart that I see, if I'm reading that correctly.
What that was is primarily because of significant protest of our property.
Right.
But overall, it's not too
Got you.
not too significant.
But of course, all of our conversations about money, especially these days, talks about power plant and things like that. So I know that would be a big hit to this part of your budget, correct? If the power plant and mines were to close, that's a property tax chunk, is it not?
It is, Scott, and that's, of course, how we're approaching not this budget cycle, but looking at and putting together a 5-year look forward of,
Sure.
of what our budget looks like, and how do we, and it's really one of our 3 goals that our commission has given to me to make certain that we're working on as part of this budget process. And first and foremost is to maintain financial stability. And so we want to make certain that we're putting together a budget that allows us to weather any storm. And if worst case scenario, the plant completely closes in 2022, Enchant Energy, which is, I think,
Right.
putting together a pretty good case for how that plant can stay open post-2022. But if it can't, we're going to still be able to maintain services to our citizens. As a county, we are a subdivision of the state, and the sole source of services in the county, the municipalities provide services, but technically they don't have to exist. They exist because there were a group of citizens who said, hey, I'd like to incorporate. We have the most recent incorporation of such a town, which is the town of Kirtland.
That's right. That's
that
right.
formed and said we want to tax ourselves and provide enhanced level of service from what the county does today. But so we have to continue to exist. We've been in business since 1887. We're going to continue in business post 2022, and now of course a lot of great economic diversification.
Right. That work
Things
is
taking
ongoing.
place right now and ongoing, and we actually feel pretty optimistic about it. But from a financial standpoint, we're looking at this as trying to get as lean and mean as possible, making sure we're providing the most efficient services, cost-effective services to our citizens. And that's evidenced when you look at the historical chart, which I think you've got another slide that we could point to that shows where we've been financially throughout time, going back to actually as most recent as the 2015-2016 budget. When you look at a total budget then of $151 million to what will be proposed to our commission this upcoming Tuesday of $130 million, you can see the significant reduction in dollars, but that has not led to a significant, as Jim mentioned, reduction in services. We've been able to maintain services. And when you look at that number down a little further, the general fund only, that's the number that we closely watch because we have a lot of special revenue funds.
Right, of course.
Within our budget that are taxes that are earmarked for specific purposes. So the general fund is that which it's not, can be used for general fund purposes, which funds almost all aspects of local county government.
Right,
And
it's been
you can see
hovering
that
right around $30 million, it looks like. Today.
$30 million, but look at from last year's actuals or last year's budget compared to this upcoming budget, we're down 1.85%, almost 2%. So hats off to our department heads, to our staff who are looking for creative ways to reduce expenditures. And hats off to Jim and his team and the finance department of bringing various tools to us to make this, give us the ability to really analyze where our dollars are going. How can we use technology to potentially reduce those expenditures? We've looked at different things from phone audits that are saving us upwards of $75,000 a year, phone and data audits. We've also looked at just other general expenses, technology expenses. We've analyzed every contract throughout the county to see if there's ways that we can reduce expenditures. And like I said, just really setting the stage for how do we, looking forward, making certain that we can weather any storm that's presented to us.
But there are certain economies of scale, I guess, too, and things that you have to do. I mean, obviously, payroll and benefits are probably your biggest expenses with county employees, and the county has, I'm trying to remember the number of how many employees, but it's in the hundreds.
We have 650 employees countywide, and that's a great point, Scott. If you look back to FY 9-10, so that's a few years back, but over time we've actually reduced our headcount by 50 employees. And so that's another way in which we've been able to reduce expenditures. Anytime we have a position come open, we're looking at analyzing, is there a way to reallocate that resource? Is there a way that we could eliminate that resource and do more with less? And that's been really the motto throughout the county, like I said, to get as lean and mean as possible to make certain that we're putting the county in the best financial shape and not be in a position for our commission to have to look at raising revenues through increased taxes, either on the GRT side or the property tax side.
Right, and I guess at some point you can only get so lean and so mean and still try to provide services and provide employment for those 650 employees. I mean, there's only so much a person can be asked to do in addition to their other duties, right? As you try to cut things down and ask more of your folks.
That's correct. And so one of the tools that we've re-engaged with here of recent is working with the Center for Priority-Based Budgeting. In 2014, we were actually the first local government in the state of New Mexico to engage with them and take a different approach and a different look at how do you make those decisions if you have to. More importantly, how do you make decisions about the services that you're providing today? Are you providing the right type of service, the right level of service? And so it takes the general line item budget that we're going to present to our commission, and actually we worked with all of our department heads, elected officials, to group those line items into programs and services that we're providing that are identifiable. For example, road maintenance, snow removal, animal control, breaking them into those categories. And interestingly enough, we have over 650 programs and services that we provide today, that then in turn we can have those measured up against the criteria of what the commission wants to see in terms of goals for our community, and also other factors, as it relates to who's providing that service. Can the service be provided by someone else? And then that is quantifiably measured, and then you can actually see quartile 1, 2, 3, and 4 of what are the services that are providing the biggest return on investment and are highly valued based upon the goals and objectives from our commission. And so that's going to allow us to make, if we have to, those tough decisions later, because you're right, you can only squeeze the orange so much on the cost side. Eventually, the decision would be, okay, let's analyze all the services we're providing. Which of those are most valued by our citizens based on this quantifiable, objective way to measure? And then those would be the programs and services that in the future we would probably bring forth for consideration of, well, how do we best move forward with the services that are of most value to our citizens.
Right, and I don't want to make the whole program doom and gloom, but I mean, it is the reality of decreasing revenue, and that's the budget that you have to have a balanced budget, so that's where those decisions are coming from. Now, to go back to our comment about property taxes and things along that line with the power plant, I assume if P&M replaces that with something else, isn't that supposed to maintain some of our property tax base? Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
It's supposed to work that way.
But
let's talk
I
about.
set you up for that.
You
Mike.
set me up, and that's a great preview to P&M having a town hall meeting up here
weeks,
on July 30th
yes,
at
sir.
San Juan College.
Actually, we're going to talk to folks from P&M next week.
Oh, great.
As a
Well,
matter of
let's
fact.
talk about their proposed plan. So they propose 4 different options
Right.
that they're going to present to the Public Regulation Commission.
And the idea, again, just to bring our audience up to speed, is that they are abandoning or closing the San Juan Generating Station. That's a done deal in 2022. And so while there are other talks with other companies to maybe keep that plant operating, P&M is getting out of the coal-fired business. So in response, they have got these 4 options of what they're going to do to help San Juan County with that major decision. Is that a good
Well, it's helped San Juan County, but it's also to replace power.
Right.
Because they're losing
Sure.
power generation. They have to replace that to be able to provide that to their ratepayers.
Our folks in Albuquerque are sitting in the dark.
That's right. That's right.
All summer. Right. So
And in the most cost-effective manner possible with the most reliable service. I mean, that's the PRC's responsibility to make sure that
That's right.
the P&M or any utility is providing an affordable and reliable service. So in the Energy Transition Act, the bill that has turned into law,
that was passed this spring.
passed
by the
this
state.
past session, it indicated that, and it was sold as 450 megawatts of replacement power would be coming to San Juan County. Now, when you read the bill, unfortunately we knew better when you read language and tried to get it removed. It said up to 450 megawatts.
Okay.
So you know that was an easy out for P&M to say, well, and then had some other language regarding reliability and whether or not it is the most cost-effective solution. So here we go. Their first primary proposed solution, the one that they're bringing forth, is this is the solution we'd like to bring
Right.
to the PRC, only replaces 280 megawatts of natural gas-fired power in the Central Consolidated School District and 20 megawatts of solar power. So assuming $1 million a megawatt, which is not the actual cost today of doing natural gas, probably closer for solar, let's just assume $1 million. That's $280 million of taxable value that would be going on to the rolls. Far short of the $450 million that was assumed.
Right.
Compare that to the taxable value today of the mine and the plant of $666 million.
Okay. Those are the numbers. Right? You compare apples to apples kind of thing. That's what we're talking about, right?
So we're coming up
Still short.
about 60% short.
Right. So that's going to impact that part of the revenues, right?
You bet. And the other part of the plan that's frustrating to us, which of course will be a point of discussion come July 30th, they're planning on putting another 330 megawatts of solar in McKinley and Rio Arriba County. Well, the frustrating news for us, and I guess we need to hear more about, for the terms of their grid, why that may make sense, but But why put that on the border of San Juan County? Rio Arriba and McKinley County didn't lose jobs. They didn't lose, or potentially going to lose jobs.
Right.
Going to lose tax dollars from the closure of San Juan Generating Station. Why wouldn't we put all of that replacement power in San Juan County? Now you're talking about 350 megawatts of solar and 280 megawatts of natural gas. Boy, we're a lot closer to that $666 million number and almost made completely whole.
Right.
Assuming
Right.
the value of those improvements being close to $1 million a megawatt.
Sure. But that's not one of the 4 proposals from P&M.
They have a proposal that puts more replacement power here, but they indicate that that would be an increased cost to the ratepayers, to the folks that they provide service to.
But solar power in San Juan County shouldn't produce more power that's more expensive than in McKinley County, should it?
Agreed.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm just asking.
Yes.
All right.
That'd be our assumption as well.
Just wondering. Okay. Well, we've gone from budget to power plants to solar panels in our conversation, and that's not a bad thing, but that's okay. But Jim Cox, back to you, because then it's your job to come up with budgets and strategies for the next 5 years out, I guess, with all these potential scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we lose a big chunk of that property tax base, and what does that mean for making budgets? That blows a big hole in it, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly blows a big hole in it. It really is where we rely on the priority-based budgeting, and we're looking at, you had mentioned, we can only go so far before we really hit that economies of scale where we can't scale down any further. We have to look at, okay, what programs, what services are we providing the county? Now, we hope that we never get to that point. We're going to continue to strive to make sure that we can provide every service with every dollar that counts. As an example, this fiscal year, so not plant related, but the sales tax in the unincorporated area has significantly declined. It's about 25% down from last year's collections. Two operations really are driven off of that tax. One primarily is fire. So our fire operations solely were funded by that tax, and they have seen a significant decline. And so our fire chief has worked really hard to maintain all of the services, make sure that we can respond to all of the calls, and keep that volume with this declining revenue. And so we've had several meetings to come up with a balanced budget. How do we make sure we can continue those services, provide the capital that is needed? And so we look at, can part of the general fund cover some of those operations? And so we'll continue to do that, and that's just one piece of many that we go through in this budget cycle.
Well, and folks who are watching the news may know that now the city of Bloomfield is in conversations with the county about fire protection, possibly, as they look at their own budget issues. So you're kind of talking a little bit about that as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And from the county's perspective, I know our fire chief thinks that would be a very viable option to manage their operations. And what it does is it brings a lot of economies of scale. So they're looking at budget issues. We're looking at budget issues. How can we continue to still provide those services? So absolutely.
Right, certainly. And staffing, I know, is always an ongoing issue with every county fire department. There's a lot of need, still, everyone, for volunteers. So anyone within the sound of our voices, if you're interested, I know the county fire chief would love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
If you would love
we
to.
We need more volunteers. That's been the primary way that we've delivered services to our citizens in a very cost-effective manner, and we're so thankful for the volunteers we have today. They run a lot of calls and respond to a lot of emergencies, but we get concerned because we have less volunteers than we've had in past years, and the volume of calls has stayed the same, and it puts a lot of wear and tear on our folks, and we'd really like to thank you for putting the call to action out, because we do need folks to help serve our community.
I know it's an ongoing conversation that the chief is always concerned about, of having enough bodies to respond to those emergencies, so it's an important thing. Before we run out of time, gentlemen, I do want to ask, again, the county has been honored with a couple of awards for accounting and budgeting and things like that. Jim Cox, I guess that turns to you and your staff of
absolutely.
What you've accomplished.
Every year we apply to the Government Finance Officers Association. It's a national association. We apply for our CAFR when we applied for the budget. And really what that does is they evaluate our financial reporting. They make sure that we're meeting all of the standards. We make sure that we're reporting correctly. From a budget perspective, they're looking at a lot of national guidelines. Is it making sense? Are we following and presenting it appropriately so people can understand it? And it's the highest level of award that the county can actually get. So we're very excited to say we've got the CAFR award for this will be their 13th year. Budget award for the 11th year, and it's a collective effort. I can't thank every employee at the county enough for, number one, following all the policies and procedures. That makes our life in finance a lot easier. I thank all of my finance team. If it wasn't for them, it would be a lot harder. We wouldn't get the awards, and so it's certainly due to all of the dedication of my staff and their efforts to get these awards. And so we're very excited, very honored to get those. We'll be presenting those at the Tuesday Commission meeting, along with
Nice.
Asking the Commission to approve this budget.
There you go. Well, congratulations to everyone. And Mike Stark, this sends a message to the taxpayers, I guess, too, right? That even though they might gripe and be concerned or complain, or I don't know any taxpayer in San Juan County that complains about anything, but they should feel good knowing that their money is being spent appropriately, and there are people that are overseeing this and checking their numbers and checking how things are accounted for, and it's all very A+.
Scott, you're spot on. Our citizens want to know that their dollars are being spent wisely, that we're fiscally sound, that we're transparent, and that we're accountable. And that's what these two awards represent to the citizens, and that they know that the financial matters of San Juan County are being run very well, and that their dollars are being spent very wisely. And so, testament to Jim and his staff and all the employees in the county, but they really do work their butts off to make it all happen. And there's a lot of time and effort that goes into really going above and beyond what's required from the state level, and that's what the GFOA awards represent. That, hey, we've got this extra time and effort put into these financial statements, put into our budget presentation, that provides a lot of great information to our citizens. Those documents are available on our website going back a number of years, so I encourage, if a citizen wants to learn more about the services we provide, wants to learn more about how their dollars are spent, sjcounty.net, Finance Department documents, great place to go, and all of that data is available to our citizens. We try to be as transparent as possible on how taxpayer dollars are spent.
Very good. And lots of cool graphs and charts, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
On that
Absolutely.
website.
Yes.
So there you go. All right.
And if you need more, contact Jim.
I will
Really good at graphs and
contact
charts.
Jim. He can get one
I love
going in
graphs.
seconds. That's true. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in this morning to talk a little bit about the financial situation facing the county. I know we're not out of the woods. There's a lot of other important conversations going on, certainly. But it behooves, I think, all county taxpayers and residents to pay attention to some of these important conversations that are going on these days, today. So thank you.
You bet. Thanks for having us, Scott. We
Very
appreciate it.
welcome. You bet. Mike Stark and Jim Cox from San Juan County, my guests here on KSJE. Back with more in just a moment, everybody. The time right now is 8:42. KSJE is supported by Sandstone Productions Outdoor Summer Theater, featuring the music of Elvis this summer. The Broadway musical All Shook Up will have you putting on your blue suede shoes and shaking your hips like it's now or never. The show performs every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday through July 27th. Enjoy an evening under the beautiful New Mexico stars. Concessions are available on site. Beer and wine from Wines of the San Juan available Fridays and Saturdays. Find out more about this jolt-worthy event at farmingtonnm.org/OST. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is officially baby-friendly. This evidence-based initiative is designed to support mother-baby bonding and optimal infant feeding practices by upholding the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. San Juan Regional Medical Center, officially baby-friendly, and serving the Four Corners since 1910. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com.